Count Ymir is one of the new NPCs you'll encounter in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, who has a questline that runs alongside the main story. Ymir is a glintstone sorcerer with some motivations of his own, which you'll come to realize as you progress through his quest. You'll also have the opportunity to complete Sword of Knight Jolán's quest, which is also included in this guide. To complete these quests, here's everything you need to know about where to find them, the choices you'll face, and the outcomes of those decisions. Ymir can be found in the Cathedral of Manus Metter in Shadow Altus. It sits in the middle of a body of water southeast of Shadow Keep and northeast of Castle Ensis. To get there, you'll need to travel through a hole in the ground in the Morth Ruins. Go to the northeast part of the ruins and look for a tower that's sunken into the ground. Behind it, you can find the hole, which will take you to Bonnie Village. While you're in Bonnie Village, you'll want to head north from the Grace where you'll find a statue of Marika and collect the O Mother gesture, which you'll need for later on in the quest. Once you have that, go east through Bonnie Village across the series of bridges until you reach the easternmost part of Shadow Altus. From the Grace, go north along the path, following it until it winds around toward Shadow Keep. You'll find the Church District High Road side of Grace along this path, and from there it will split off into two directions, where the right side takes you to Shadow Keep and the left side takes you to the Cathedral. Take the left path to the Cathedral, and when you step inside, it'll appear deserted, but you'll be able to see the glow of the site of Grace up ahead. Just behind it in the south, you can open the gates to gain access to the Cathedral. As you step inside, you'll see a throne at the end of the room, and when you approach it, you'll be greeted by Count Ymir. Upon talking to Count Ymir, he'll give you a map of some ruins as well as a hole-laden necklace. Talk to him again, and he'll explain that the map goes to a hollowed ruin where you'll need to sound a hanging bell there. You can continue his dialogue where he'll reveal that he's a merchant and you can study sorcery through him. Not too far from Ymir on the western side of the room, you'll find Ymir's bodyguard, the Swordhand of Knight Jolán. She stands up against a pillar and will appear after the first conversation with Ymir. And if you exit the western side of the cathedral, you'll enter a graveyard. There's a small grave on the northern side that you can interact with, but for now there's nothing else to do. You'll want to make your way to the Hanging Bell, which can be found at the Finger Ruins of Raya. It's close to the Jagged Peak, but it's easier to access the ruins by going along the shore in the south and coming up to them from the Cerulean coast. When you're there, head to the center of the ruins to find the Hanging Bell, which looks exactly like the necklace that Ymir gave you. On your way there, try not to get hit by these guys. Once you sound the bell, you'll receive a Crimson Seed Talisman +1 for doing so. When you return to Ymir, he'll be aware that you rung the bell. He'll then give you the beloved Stardust Talisman and another ruins map as a reward. You'll then be able to ask him about the nature of the world and about Miquella, which you'll want to do as it is a requirement to advance his quest. You can also speak to Jolán again, and she'll see that you've gained Ymir's trust, which will unlock her as a summon for various boss fights throughout the Realm of Shadow. To continue progressing the quest, we'll need to find the second ruins. And to do that, we'll need to access Shadowview. You can do this by taking the other path we mentioned earlier that leads to Shadow Keep and entering via the Church District entrance. If you follow the path and continue beyond the back gate side of Grace, you can then take an elevator down, which will lead you to a small chapel on the back of the keep. This is where we'll use the O Mother gesture that we picked up earlier near the statue of Marika. The statue will move and you'll gain access to Shadowview. From here, you can follow the main road to head into the Finger Ruins of Deo in the southeast part of the region. Make your way to the center of the ruins, again, trying your best to avoid these guys, and sound the Hanging Bell once again. This time, you'll receive a Cerulean Seed Talisman +1. You can now go back to Count Ymir and receive one more gift, which is the third piece of the ruins map. You can also ask Ymir about the nature of the world again, which is also a requirement to complete his quest. If you rest at the site of Grace, Ymir will disappear, but you can find him outside by the gravestone we mentioned earlier. He doesn't have any dialogue this time, but there's a reason why he left his throne. And that's because the third ruins are actually closer than you think, and to access them, all you have to do is interact with Ymir's throne. This will push back and reveal a ladder down to the Finger Ruins of Mir. As you approach the Hanging Bell, you'll be invaded by Swordhand of Knight Anna. Defeating her will reward you with the Claws of Night. You can then go to the end of the ruins and sound the Hanging Bell once again. This will transport you to another room where you'll need to fight Metter, Mother of Fingers. Defeating her will reward you with a Remembrance, and from there you can return to the cathedral. When you interact with Ymir's throne again, you'll be invaded by Jolán, who's upset that you've wounded Ymir. After defeating Jolán, Ymir will appear, and upon defeating him, you'll receive his bell bearing, his weapon, and his armor set. Fun fact, if you rest at a Grace and alter his chest piece, you'll actually receive the Finger Robe, which is the robe that he wears during the boss fight. You can also head back to that gravestone and collect the Cherishing Finger sorcery from there. And before we wrap up the quest, we have a decision to make with Sword of Knight Jolán. You can give her an Iris of Grace, which will reward you with her ashes, or you can give her an Iris of Occultation, potion, which will give you her weapon. If you choose to take her ashes, you can actually modify these ashes by going into the shaman village in the hinterland and follow a secret path that takes you to the top of the tower at Rabbath's Rise. There, you can append Anna to the ashes, allowing you to summon both of them at the cost of a little extra FP. You can switch this back and forth whenever you want by interacting with Anna's corpse. One more thing, you can get some extra dialogue with Jolán if you attempt to enter the finger ruins below the cathedral before sounding the second hanging bell. Ymir will be away from his throne visiting the gravestone out to the west, giving you the opportunity to scope out the ruins below. You'll still trigger the encounter with Anna, but by telling Jolán before killing Metter, she'll feel grateful towards you for having informed her of Anna's existence. It doesn't change the outcome of the quest, however. And that concludes Count Ymir and Jolán's questline. For more guides like this to assist you as you make your way through Shadow of the Erdtree, head on over to our wiki at IGN.com. And for everything else, stick with IGN.